Hello everyone and welcome back. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you find any value in my videos. I would greatly appreciate it. Now today's topic for this video is where you feel most alive. And I want to clarify, this doesn't necessarily mean a geographic location. This could be people that you enjoy being with. It could be an activity you find joy and inspiration doing, a conversation that stimulates thought, or a place that you love visiting. Any of these things. And when I say alive, that can mean a lot of different things as well. I see it mostly as a state of being or feeling. Something that is evoked inside you and being or witnessing or experiencing that thing that you're thinking of in your head. And while you're thinking of that, I'd love to share where I feel most alive. Now there's many places and things that bring me to this place, this state of being. The first is being in nature and witnessing the raw form of life, how it was meant to be, and getting to feel how small and humbled that makes me feel, yet how significant my role in all of it is, how connected each of us are as individuals to the earth around us. The colors, the textures really stir something inside of me that I can't really put to words, that just bliss and gratefulness brings about inside of my heart. Another experience where I feel very alive is when I'm with people I love, when I'm able to feel the gratitude and appreciation that I have for someone that is able to be there for me and I for them, and there's this understanding and connection that I'm sure a lot of you have with a friend or family member. Music is another thing that really stimulates that state of being, of aliveness and gratefulness, whether it's a nostalgic song or a rhythm that makes me want to get up and dance. Moving my body is a very joyful thing for me to do. It makes me grateful to be able to do that in the first place, to be able to stand up, to move my body the way that I desire. Another one is really good food, especially if I have prepared it myself. Just feeling grateful to have the means to go get the ingredients and take pride in putting something together, and the burst of flavor in my mouth when I taste it really stimulates that alive feeling inside of me. Lastly is being active with my body, whether that's in a sport like swimming. I've been a competitive swimmer my whole life, and since I've stopped competing, I adopted new ways to move my body and challenge it, like climbing and hiking, that really give me that joy in knowing that I'm growing, not just physically, but in my patience, especially if I'm learning something new. It really stimulates that primitive side of our humanness to challenge the body, to push through something hard, which I think is such an important lesson to learn. And it really builds my resilience, which is a huge part for me in my life experience of being alive and what that means. And I ask this question because I think it's very important to think about what those things are that spark a fire inside you. And what I've come to learn and realize through thinking of this question for myself in my own life is that when my five senses are stimulated is when I really feel alive. When our five senses are stimulated, the avenue through which our creativity and inspiration flows is opened up, and we are able to really dig down deep into that and get to know it a little bit more. And what was wild for me to learn is that we're actually only conscious of about 5% of our mental activity that is happening in our brain. Yet our bodies are constantly being stimulated and taking in that stimuli. So for example, when we walk into a room, we aren't necessarily aware of the light, the textures on the wall, the sound, all of these things that are going on around us. We're only aware of certain things that come into our brain. Yet we are still so connected to our environment without us really realizing it. And some of you may feel like you're moving through this life alone, but I want to remind you that you are inseparable with your environment, whether you realize it or not. And your existence is so important in the interconnectedness of how this earth continues to spin. And I want to dive into the senses just a little bit more. The feet, for example. Our feet have about 700,000 nerve endings that are constantly taking in sensation. So imagine if we were to take our shoes off a little more often and put them on earth, on the grass, and feel the energy that is coming up into our bodies from the earth. That would open up so many doors in our bodies alone, just to receive the energy that is coming in from the earth around us and enable us to connect to that feeling and sensation of aliveness and inspiration even more deeply. Our nose can take in 1 trillion odors using over 400 scent receptors, and those scent receptors are renewed every 1 to 2 months. So it's amazing how much we are taking in through our nose alone. And imagine if we were to go into a forest or a desert or a poppy field and take in those scents more, get out of the city and allow fresh air and fresh nature to stimulate our senses. Again, that would open up so much in our body to be able to receive and be open to that inspiration that is coming into us, which in turn leads us down the path to a greater and deeper connection to our creativity. So our senses really lay the foundation for us to understand how and why arts and aesthetics really lead us down a perfect path to amplify our health and well-being overall. So when we are aware of what our 5 senses are receiving and taking in, our brain is actually able to rewire itself. There are brand new synaptic connections that are able to strengthen, and furthermore, our brain also weakens certain connections that are no longer needed. This could be trauma, certain ways of thinking about things, memories that no longer serve us. And that's why it's so important to be open to these things, because it truly begins you down a path of healing, releasing, and pruning, in a sense, your brain, so these new connections are able to be made and heal you in the deepest way. And as your brain is pruning and adapting, it will enable you to adapt better to your environments as it changes through your life. And as you reflect on the question, where you feel most alive, I want you to think about why this is important. Does it strengthen and deepen your spirituality or your connectedness? Does it stimulate growth in your life? Does it remind you what life is all about? Does it keep you grateful? Does that challenging activity or stimulating conversation help you grow and help you open your mind up to new ideas and new opportunities? Ultimately, considering the answer to this question connects you more deeply with what inspires you in life, and in turn starts you down the path of understanding how to be in touch and open that avenue of your creativity. That's where creativity comes from our inspiration through ourselves, other people, activities, and just the world around us and how we are all a part of it. And lastly, I want to address those of us whose place of aliveness and inspiration was tainted maybe by a traumatic experience or a bad memory. I really want to encourage you to revisit that place with a vulnerable, open 5 senses and allow the avenue of creativity to open in that place. And I know that you will find so much healing there if you are able to be vulnerable with yourself and honest. Thank you all for watching. I really hope this question is helpful and begins a journey for you to go down the road of discovering what makes you feel alive, what inspires you, and in turn opens that door and flow of creativity back into your life. I would encourage you to write these things down, take your time thinking about them, and really have fun with it. And if this is helpful or you have any enlightening light bulb ideas that you'd like to share, please leave a comment below. Have a great day, everyone, and stay tuned for the next video. Blessings.